Tell people what the parts do, not what the parts are.
And I think also within that, not like I'm telling you anything new, but Joe, the language that you're using is absolutely more valuable when you put it in the customer terminology rather than just a part number.
Well, I think it has an instant benefit to it when you tell me what something's doing for me. As a matter of fact, that's one of the ways I used to use is my called instant benefit generator. I just try and say, what is this going to do for me what am I going to do for people when I'm going to place an advertisement, even in the marketing aspect of things. I always want to make sure people know what I'm going to do, because otherwise, how would they know what the benefit is if they don't see what the action that will take place when I call this company? Make sense?
Mm-hmm. Makes perfect sense.
Well, mistake number 2, on to the next slide, is because we're talking about parts already, I'm going to stick with this. Mistake number 2 is using flat rate tasks to restock parts. So solutions are solutions whether you have the parts on your truck or not. The client needs to get the job done and completed no matter what the parts that are being used. Now, the dirty little secret that the flat rate industry has pushed us toward, and they don't want you to know, is that technicians do not always use the exact parts that are used to build the flat rate tasks. Sometimes they'll use a little bit more, a little bit less, maybe even a different type of a gas valve or fan motor or whatnot, and it will not be the exact task. What happens is that if you're trying to use your flat rate task to restock the parts on your truck, I remember a client on the East Coast who had his flat rate system almost driven him into bankruptcy because he kept automatically restocking the parts that his flat rate system said he was using. And what happened is he had like 13 digital thermostats and 19 emergency disconnects on his truck. When he was replacing on-off switches on a furnace and he didn't use the wrong code, next thing you know, he had 19 electrical disconnects for an air conditioning unit in the back of his truck when he wound up getting autopsied at the end of his employment. So, make your team scan. If you're going to do parts, the parts are not part of flat rate. They're just something that's needed to do the job. Now, if you're going to, how can you stock parts? How can you track parts? Adams, I deal with $70 million HVAC companies and plumbing companies and service companies around the country. I have 4 clients over $50 million. Even those clients do not use a flat rate program to restock their trucks. They scan the parts in, or they write the parts down on a parts list, and then they call those in separately from the flat rate repair. You can never trust a flat rate repairer that will know the exact parts the tech is going to use to complete the call. Only your tech knows that, and you can, of course, the most sophisticated method of tracking parts would be to scan those parts into an invoice or scan them into your program so you can report those parts back to inventory. Even the least sophisticated way, which is to just get a list and write down all the parts on the back of a service ticket and then take a picture of it with your smartphone and give that to your dispatcher, is better than just having the flat rate program restock parts.
Gotcha. That's a good tip. Makes sense.
Okay. Now, mistake number 3. Here's one thing. Now, too many tasks. Again, many flat rate providers can't wait to tell you how many tasks they've got. And so I remember when I first got my first flat rate book, I thought it was cool. I have a 4-inch binder full of over 2,000 repairs. Now, I don't know if you ever tried to count to 1,000 or even count to 2,000. That takes a heck of a long time. You know what I'm saying, Adams?
I haven't done it in a while.
I usually get stopped at about 1,112, and I can't think of what comes after that,
Who can?
And so what happens is that the technicians simply go through your big flat rate book, and they put flags on it, or they put highlighters, and they highlight the repairs. I just had a very interesting quote from a woman. Her name was Tracy from Action Plumbing in New Jersey. She said that the traditional flat rate book looks like you're reading your phone bill.